Please join the Valley Select Chorale as we sing our national anthem under the direction of Mr. Joel Byer.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose by stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our 2021 Veterans Day celebration. My name is Pete Biskins, and once again, it is my honor to represent Apple Valley High School and our community with this celebration. Apple Valley has a long history of honoring our veterans. As you saw in the beginning, our connection to the Apple Valley American Legion is one that we treasure and cherish, as they have been longtime supporters of programs at Apple Valley, and we're thankful for their contributions. Once again this year, our celebration is of the virtual variety. However, this year we've added some new twists. We wanted to hear from our band and our wind ensemble, and we'll get to do that later. We also wanted to add some voices of people who walk our hallways and who have connections to our communities. And so you'll hear from some of those people today during this celebration. We hope that you'll hear common themes throughout their message, that of service and why it was so important to them to share their Veterans Day message with you today. First, let's begin by hearing from staff members. Apple Valley has many staff who have spent time in the armed forces. Representing those voices today, you're going to hear from Susan Craig, Apple Valley High School math teacher, and her husband Steve. Additionally, Apple Valley's head baseball coach, Sam Furpo, spent time in the military, and we'll get to hear his story as well.
That was an interesting decision. I looked into the Marines first. I was coming out of college, didn't know what to do. I looked at, trying to look at what my parents did. I look at the history of my family, and I see all my brothers are in the military, my cousins, my uncles. My grandpa wasn't not on the military, but he served in 1898 in the Spanish-American War. And so it's been a family thing, a sense of duty. I like the Air Force better. Met with a recruiter. They made some offers, and I enjoyed it. And I said, yeah, I'm going to join the Air Force. It gave me a sense of duty, gave me a sense of responsibility. I grew up. There's a lot of things that the military can do for a young kid to make him grow up and help him through life. The celebration is showing respect to what we do, what we did for the people that are here. We try to, it's our job to protect our sense of living, or how we live in the United States. So we should celebrate those who serve because of the sacrifices they made for us.
Quite honestly, my dad served in the Army for about 3 years, and I just, in high school, I thought, that might be something I want to try, serving in the military. And the Marine Corps I chose just because I like the idea of the challenge. I applied for the ROTC scholarship. I went to University of Wisconsin-Madison, and that first year I decided this is it, this is for me.
My journey into the Marine Corps is a little different than Susan's. I actually enlisted, not right out of high school, but more so a year out of high school. And I guess the interesting stories behind that is that I actually went to college and found that I lacked the discipline and structure to really get through college the first time. And knowing that the Marine Corps was still accepting and willing to take me in even after that first rough semester of college, it provided the community and the structure that I needed to really succeed.
I'm a helicopter pilot. I learned how to, we'd earn our wings, and I learned how to fly my helicopter, and I was 1 month into the fleet when I got augmented to go get on a ship and go to Iraq. That was my first tour. I did 6 months on the USS Kearsarge in Iraq, and then I was back for less than a year, maybe 8 months, and I deployed for the second time to Djibouti, Africa. And then I did another deployment in 2005 to 2006 to Djibouti, Africa.
After commissioning and becoming an officer, you know, we spent time on the East Coast and West Coast for training, but I deployed to Afghanistan in 2004, and then came back and went to Iraq from 2005 to 2006, and then to Afghanistan again. We have our fair share of deployments. We would reflect from time to time on the fact that, you know, during our first 3 years in the fleet, we were probably only together for a year. You know, we spent a lot of time apart. So we really had to work hard on trying to make sure we could spend time with our kids. So I think for me, when I think about Veterans Day, I like to go back and think about the history of the day. And as I think about Armistice Day, after the first Great War, World War I, on the 11th hour, the 11th day of the 11th month, the leaders of each country decided to sign an armistice agreement to cease fire. And the interesting thing for me about that is that it took another 6 months for the Treaty of Versailles to actually take place, where it actually ended the war. And that just reminds me, you know, it's like, even when we want to do something that's very challenging, it can take a little time for us to get there. And the sense of remembering that history as I think about Veterans Day, you know, which of course didn't become a holiday until 1954, years after World War I. It's just the fact that it's about remembering those who served and the sacrifice that they gave to serve. Now, you know, there's a difference between Veterans Day, which is remembering veterans who are still alive, Memorial Day, which is remembering any service member or veteran who has given the ultimate sacrifice, and then Armed Forces Day, which, hey, let's celebrate those who are still on active duty because they're doing a great job. But for Veterans Day, it's especially special because we're remembering those who have served and may no longer be wearing the uniform, may be active within your community and still serving. And sometimes people aren't aware of who those people are. So with this day, we're giving them an opportunity to be recognized and remember the sacrifice that they made. I think that's super important because ultimately what we want to do is show that, you know, our service, it meant something. And now that we're even serving in the community, it means more still.
For me, it was an honor to serve. It was a privilege to serve. It's not something everybody gets to do. But I feel like it helped me to, having my service helped me to broaden my perspective and my horizons on what I'm able to do now and how I'm able to interact with students, how I'm interact with the community. Wear Blue Run to Remember is an organization that our family has brought to our community. It's an opportunity to honor the fallen, the fighting, and the families. So it honors those veterans, and it also honors those that gave the ultimate sacrifice. So it's an important mission of our family, and it's important for us. We have 4 small children, that they always understand that our freedom isn't free.
You know, we talk about the fallen, the fighting, and the families. Veterans Day is about those who are still fighting for our freedom. So I'd like to keep that in mind as well.
Hello everybody, I'm Bill Blatzheim and I'm the Arts and Activities Director here at Apple Valley High School. I'd like to introduce now a recording of Valley Select Chorale, performing at our 2015 Veterans Day ceremony and performing the piece, We Rise Again.
Our sons and daughters
What an outstanding performance by our Valley Select Chorale. Thank you so much to our directors, Mr. Joel Byer and Mr. Reed Larson. The student voices we heard there shared a very important message. And it got us to thinking about how many students at Apple Valley High School will choose to join the military and serve our country after high school. Representing some of those voices today are Alonzo Delgado de Leon and Parker Elliott. Let's hear their message and their why. What is their purpose? Why did they want to join the military? How did they get that calling of service?
I wanted to join the Marines because, I don't know, just proud of my country. I really love my country, and just Marines have, is the big tough ones. So I thought, I might as well go all out if I'm joining a service. I am forging a new path. I am going to be the first, I guess, sort of in my family who will be serving in any type of military branch. My family, they were a little hesitant on it, but as they see now, this is a great thing. They love it. They think it's great for me. As I said before, part of my country, I really like this place, and it's done a lot for me, and might as well return its favor for it. Veterans Day, to me, honors the memories and the people who have fought in wars, either dead or alive, obviously, honoring their memory and carrying their legacy throughout the day, and remembering once a year almost to honor them. I ship to boot camp in June, right after I get my diploma, at the end of June. I have signed up for combat photography. I'm excited to, serve and everything, but I am also anxious about, being all the way away from home. But that's part of the battle, so I must overcome, my fears and anxiety. Semper Fi.
Yeah, we definitely celebrate Veterans Day. I mean, we do take the day to just think about all the positive things that came to the U.S. through our military, and being able to just celebrate the people that have brought us to where we are with home of the brave, land of the free. My grandpa was in the Army, and then my sister is in the Air Force now, and that's kind of what drove me towards going to the Air Force, all the benefits she's gotten through the Air Force. And just mainly, I've been really thinking about getting into the medical field, and I thought the Air Force Academy, with being able to help veterans, mainly I want to focus on prosthetics and helping veterans with blown off limbs or incapabilities, and help them kind of get to just a sustainable body and things like that. With being at a STEM school at the middle school, I was really interested in how things worked in the engineering side of things, so I got into, with my own adversity I went through with going through wrestling and becoming just a better physical human being, just wanting to help others be able to reach their physical goals with that don't even have an arm or can't do the same things as me but don't even have a leg. So being able to help people use prosthetics to have a full functioning lifestyle. Joining wrestling was a big thing that got me into the idea that Air Force Academy being a place that desires physical strength as well as mental strength. And then wrestling, something that's got me to get out of my comfort zone, and the Air Force I feel like would be somewhere where I can keep reaching farther and never be comfortable with where I'm at, and just keep striving for a better just lifestyle.
We'd now like to present another musical selection. The Apple Valley High School Wind Ensemble will be performing Frank Tikelli's An American Elegy. During this performance, you will see pictures of family members of Apple Valley students and staff who have served our country in our nation's armed forces. Our final musical selection will be a recording of the Wind Ensemble playing the Armed Forces Salute. We play this piece of music every year at our Veterans Day ceremony, which includes songs that represent the different branches of the armed forces. We invite the veterans in the audience to stand when they hear the song that represents their branch. Please enjoy the Armed Forces Salute.
The Army. The Coast Guard. The Marines. The Air Force. The Navy.
One of my favorite events that we host at our school is Veterans Day service. Although our current circumstances make it difficult to honor our veterans as we've done in the past, we continue this legacy in creative and important ways. The stories we've heard today remind us of how our veterans rose to the occasion in service to our nation. Throughout the years, members of America's armed services have put their personal dreams and obligations to families on hold, and in some cases, they gave their lives for others. Thank you to our students for your attention and reflections in honoring the women and men who have served. I also want to thank our assistant principal, Mr. Biskins, and our video media specialist, Mr. Dodge, for making this program possible. Thank you to the Apple Valley American Legion Post 1776, Superintendent Krieger, and members of the Cabinet, the AVHS Wind Ensemble, Valley Select Chorale, student speakers, and the AVHS staff. And finally, thanks to all the Twin Cities area veterans and active duty personnel who've come to AVHS in the past and who are joining us virtually today. Take care, be well. We look forward to celebrating with you next year. Thanks.